Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Hello again, everyone, and thanks for joining us here for Friday's show. On the satellite imagery, you can see a lot of moisture, southeast interior here, and back in toward Kodiak Island. This is actually where the heaviest rainfall is occurring, just under an inch in the last 24 hours at Kodiak State Airport. Some of that spilling on into Bristol Bay. And this area of clouds, mostly just high and mid-level stuff from about the 7,000 foot level on up to Cirrus. A little bit of a flurry condition here with that band through the interior. Actually, two separate bands, one right through here, and then this one associated with an upper level trough back to the north, trying to come southward a little bit there. And you can see right in there, and then they almost kind of link up, but very light snow and just some areas of flurries with those, nothing very significant at all. And again, no rain today, so zero at Cordova, Valdez, and Seward. So again, just mid and high level clouds here, more of a rain producer down over the Queen Charlottes, a breakout here over the Bering Sea with some clear skies, or at least fair conditions. There's the next system pushing the storm force winds with gusts of 60 miles an hour into the Shimia area today. And that pushing on toward Adak, the front anyway, the low center back to the southwest will stay to the south and move eastward. And looks like a little bit of remnant leftover stuff here catching the Pribilof Islands. Up along the Arctic coast, not too bad up there. Some areas of fog. Barrow had 2 miles visibility this afternoon in fog, and then there were some flurries scattered around the east side there. Winds kind of coming up a little bit. Over the interior, northeast, 10 to 20 miles an hour, some higher gusts. Unalakleet seeing gusts to 35 miles an hour. And otherwise, at about the 15 to 25 mile per hour range, down here across Kodiak, a little brisker out of the northeast, gusts 40 to 45 miles per hour from Kamishak Bay. Really howling through Shelikof Strait with some good gales there. And also across, again, the whole general area, and some of that working up into Bristol Bay. Rainfall amounts with this band of moisture there, very thin band, just about 0.05 of an inch there at Cold Bay or at Unalaska. This only brought 0.03 of an inch to St. Paul. Heavier rain with the front back out to the west. And again, the heaviest down here, Kodiak Island, pushing up into the Aleutian Range. Most of that ringing out on the southeast side of the Aleutian Range there, and not a lot less, more hit and miss precipitation over Bristol Bay. On the chart today, again, the scattered flurries with those narrow bands of moisture over the interior. Also on the Arctic coast, you can see getting a little more tighter gradient here occurring with high pressure back northwest of Wrangel Island, and then the lower pressure here in the Gulf, giving some increased northeast winds, as I mentioned here, and those will continue to increase here tonight, more likely tomorrow night and into Sunday. And a couple of weak waves here pulling back to the northwest. This one pulled into Bristol Bay, and then the stronger system out to the west. That's going to be sliding east and southeast tonight. Gale force winds in the forecast of the central Aleutians. Those storms will be ending out to the west there, but becoming more north and northeasterly with this system moving eastward, and that's going to tend to pull this system. We'll track up to the northwest a little bit tomorrow. Still have these bands of showers and rain trying to come on shore, just grazing the coast tonight. Better chance tonight than what you saw today. Occasional rain continuing Kodiak Island, catching the southern Kenai Peninsula, and that becoming quite light as you move inland. Just some flurries scattered around the interior there, along with some clearing as well up to the northeast, back to the west, and the winds getting a little brisk here, or staying that way. And there are winter weather advisories out for the summits here, like along the Elliott Highway for possible areas of blowing snow, reducing visibility is quite low as these winds continue to pick up. Looks like some moisture spreading up into the southeast coast. Chance of rain or snow later tonight for the panhandle over the southern areas, staying dry to the north. And again, just a chance of some moisture there for the Yakutat area and along the North Gulf Coast. Better chances for Kodiak. Looks like tomorrow occasional rain here along the coastal areas. Just a chance over the inland areas of rain or snow. Flurries farther to the north along the Alaska range. And mostly dry, increasing winds 15-25 miles an hour through much of the interior. Higher elevations, gusts to 35 miles an hour, or also here from the northwest coast, Point Hope, Cape Lisburne, Kivalina, all the way down again, that windy area like Unalakleet, pretty gusty. Could see gusts up to 40 miles an hour, 30 to 40 miles an hour, much like today. And then this moisture heading out to the west, rotating around as these systems move off to the east there. And we've got a weakening front up along the coast dissipating. Here's another one in this area. And this one right here, as this system continues to move east and southeast, this one will come northwest as well. This one will move in tomorrow evening, then this one will follow, and this could be a pretty good storm, intensify and rotate back to the northwest. And that could really slam places like Kodiak Island into Kamishak Bay, on down along the peninsula with some storm force winds on Sunday as it moves westward. Could see some storm force winds early in the day on Sunday for Bristol Bay, but definitely a lot of heavy rain to accompany that. Moderate to heavy rain, Kodiak Island. Quite windy. Definitely gale force winds, possible storm force winds as that rolls through late tomorrow night. And the front pushing inland to about this position. Kind of hard to detect exactly where they are once they move inland, but roughly right through here. A push of milder air coming up with these winds as the cold air pulls back to the southwest and off to the west, or way over here in Canada where the skies are clearer. But look for it to dry out. Looks like maybe a mostly sunny day in store for the southern southeast coast on Sunday with rather mild temperatures and gusty southeast winds. Pretty windy, in fact, even possible storm force winds occurring there along the south coast, and definitely gales here in advance of this front. Another wave on that west of Dixon Entrance, but a lot of wind and rain coming in for the North Gulf Coast, really the southern Kenai Peninsula back down Kodiak Island and into the Alaska Peninsula, with again most of the wind occurring here across Bristol Bay Sunday and late tomorrow night and early Sunday here for Kodiak Island. Lighter winds becoming a little more northerly and northwesterly, so I'll bring some cooler air southward with it. It won't get really cold, but it should drop the snow levels enough to make for some mixed rain and snow out over the western Aleutians. Rain showers scattered around with north winds 10 to 20, a little gustier here for the Pribilofs, definitely a lot windier. Gales all the way up into the St. Lawrence Island area, Bering Strait, and up along the northwest coast in this area here. Otherwise, the eastern Arctic coast looking 10 to 20, higher gusts toward Kaktovik. Temperatures today, upper 20s to upper 30s across the Panhandle, 39 down at Klawock, 37 over at Gastuva, or well, I'll say Elfin Cove, a little easier to say that one, 31 at Skagway, 34 in Cordova, 24 Anchorage, 30 in Kenai, another nice 42 down in Homer, mid-40s Kodiak Island, to go along with all the clouds, wind and rain there. 2 degrees above zero at Gulkana, 9 at Fairbanks, and a -6 over at Eagle. Tanana had 4 below, and warmer conditions up above zero, around 10 degrees here over the northwest interior. Bettles at 7. Anatuvik, the cold spot in the state this afternoon, with 18 below, not much warmer at Anatuvik, and -1 at Kaktovik. Near zero along the Arctic coast, -9 Point Lay, and up to 21 at Shishmaref. Kotzebue, 13 degrees, 28 at Nome, 30 degrees there at Gamble, and mid-20s here along the coast with 24 at Unalakleet, 25 at St. Michael, and 27 down at Macoriac, 29 there at Sparravon, and a 14-degree reading there over at McGrath, while off to the southwest, St. George and St. Paul, both up to 38 today, 41 at Atka, a little cooler at Adak and Shimia, 41 Unalaska, 37 Cold Bay, and upper 30s to near 40 all the way up to King Salmon and Iliamna. Lows tonight, 15 to 20 to 25, 28, 27 to, well, as cold as 28 below there for the North Slope and areas around Arctic Village, with below zero readings down into the Tanana Valley, teens and 20s south of the mountains, all the way to the coast, upper 20s to upper 30s there for the Panhandle, 30s for the Bering Sea. And for the highs tomorrow, mid-minus 20s here over the northeast areas again. Coldest around Arctic Village in that area, that part of the state. Below zero though for the North Slope and even the Arctic coast. Single numbers and teens out along the northwest coastline with milder conditions again here holding over Bristol Bay, Kodiak Island, upper 30s and 40s, upper 20s to lower 30s south central Alaska, and 30s to mid 40s for the Panhandle. Flying weather, IFR, again with that continued southeast flow coming up, pulling surges of moisture northwestward. Looks pretty good for some IFR at times tomorrow on the southern coast of the Kenai Peninsula, right on up into Prince William Sound and on over toward Passage Canal, tending to increase throughout the day and spread northward here. Could bring some marginal VFR into the Alaska Range, and the southeast coast could see some IFR sneak into the southern areas tomorrow, actually late tonight and into tomorrow with better conditions to the north. IFR, Kodiak Island, Fognak Island down the east side, Pacific side of the peninsula here in areas of the Aleutians, and some areas of IFR mostly off the coast, looking pretty good for VFR from Kuskokwim Bay right up through the Bering Strait, and again, much of the Arctic coast, North Slope areas could still see some areas of fog and flurries along the Arctic coast, but generally not too bad. For the Anaktuvik Pass forecast, wide open tomorrow VFR for both Anaktuvik and Adigan. For Lake Clark and Merrill, VFR becoming marginal VFR on the eastern entrances. That's where you'll see the lowest conditions. Again, better off to the west. Same forecast for rainy. And for windy, VFR and southern entrance possibly could become marginal VFR as the ceilings lower throughout the day. Isabel, VFR possibly becoming marginal. Southern entrance, both Isabel and Mentasta, that same forecast. South sides maybe becoming marginal at times during the day tomorrow. Tanita possibly on the east entrance might become marginal VFR. And Portage, IFR on the east side, otherwise marginal. Chilkoot and White, VFR gradually possibly becoming marginal during the afternoon hours. And freezing levels, not much of a gradient out here. We've got the surface way up to the north, but 2,000 feet from roughly King Salmon down to Nikolsky and then just south of the Aleutians there, and still about 2,000 to 4,000 feet here along the southeast coast, kind of a nudging northward of warmer air there with those systems pulling back to the northwest and that southeasterly wind flow. For the icing threats, mostly off the coast here, or all of it's off the coast of the Panhandle. Another batch down to the southeast. That'll be coming northwest later tomorrow night and on Sunday. But mostly below 11,000 feet here across Kodiak Island up to the southern Kenai Peninsula. And again, some of that spilling into the Bristol Bay area and pretty icing free. And the next system bringing some more icing threats into the western Aleutians. Jet stream south of the Aleutians, you can see here the Pacific jet up to 190 knots, diving southeastward, kind of diverges here over the northeast Pacific, one branch up over a building ridge of high pressure. And this is the area genesis that's going to generate that next pretty good storm that's going to rotate back to the northwest late tomorrow night and early Sunday and bring the strong winds and heavy rain into the area. Arctic jet up here keeping it cool and mostly dry there over the north. For the 3,000-foot winds, 30 to 35 knots here out over the Gulf, much lighter over the northern Panhandle. And see the increase in the winds here, again at 9,000 feet, 25 to 40 knots, kind of in bands. 40 knots right through here, and then it drops off, and then another maximum wind from the east at 35 along the Brooks Range, and pretty windy out into the Bering Sea with the strongest winds coming around the backside of that low into the western Aleutians. For 3,000 feet, much the same pattern, east to west directions here, 15 to 25 30 knots here out along the west coast, even the Arctic coast, North Slope, kind of breezy, as well as Kodiak Island westward. And again, the strongest winds out here in this quadrant of that low off to the south of the Aleutians. Easterlies 45 knots right over Adak and Atka, and light winds, but big increase here along and into the eastern Gulf of Alaska. Turbulence-wise, occasional moderate chop here in the turquoise area, mostly mechanical over the mountainous terrain here of the west, a little more extensive up here from St. Lawrence Island across the Seward Peninsula up into the northwest areas. Hit and miss over the interior, but not completely smooth. A lot of mechanical turbulence showing up now, and especially tomorrow night and Sunday with moderate chop here over the west central Aleutians. And after hangar flying, I'll be back with a look at the marine forecasts.
Good evening. I'm Harry Keeling, and on behalf of Alaska Public Media and the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation, welcome to Hangar Flying. Last Monday we had Donnie Hatch on, and we're going to have him back on tonight. Donnie is the distribution manager for DeLorme, and they handle a product called InReach. And as many of you hopefully have seen on this program before, I've talked about this breadcrumb technology, and they offer a product I think is a great product for us aviators up here. And essentially what happens is you turn this thing on when you go fly, and you leave markers on a map as you fly along. People can track your position. People can, if you don't get to where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there, they can go online and see where the track was. It's great technology, and it's a game changer. So Donnie, it's nice to have you back.
Thank you.
And we ran out of time last time. I want to talk about a couple of other features with the InReach. Mm-hmm. And one of them is talking flight plans. We've worked out something, I think it's just here in Alaska, but maybe in the lower 48, I don't know. But I know it's up here with the Flight Service Station up here. Talk a little bit about the ESRS.
Sure. The ESRS program was certainly pioneered here in Alaska, and on the heels of that program's success, this summer Lockheed Martin Flight Services in the lower 48 adopted their own safety initiative, very modeled after the ESRS program, to enhance aviation safety for all general aviation flights throughout the lower 48. The FAA tested our InReach devices all throughout the state of Alaska. They carried out rigorous testing of our devices, both in tracking or flight following mode, two-way texting mode, and SOS mode, to ensure that the device worked at any location and at any altitude, and put their stamp of approval on the InReach device, incorporated the InReach models into the ESRS program this spring. The ESRS program, Enhanced Special Reporting Service, was really designed to improve upon traditional search and rescue methods utilizing satellite technology. Because as we all know, there's a lot of areas at certain altitudes in Alaska where radar, quite frankly, doesn't work. And so pilots can find themselves in a lot of places throughout the state of Alaska where traditional flight following or tracking methods just simply don't work. Owing to the InReach device's true global coverage at any altitude, we have an ability to broadcast the flight path of any aircraft regardless of where it flies. And so with that, it allows the pilot today, when filing their master flight plan, to register essentially the serial number of their DeLorme InReach device, which would then allow the flight service centers to pull up the location of the flight in the event that the pilot doesn't close their flight plan on time, or also allows the FAA in exchange to actually send emergency alerts or notifications to the InReach device. So this two-way technology not only broadcasts the flight path live on the internet for the FAA to view only in the instance of an SOS, only when SOS is pressed, But in reverse mode, it also allows the FAA to send emergency alerts to the pilot, which could include TFRs, SIGMETs, NOTAMs, and other mission-critical information relative to the pilot's flight plan.
But if, as I understand it, if I filed a flight plan and I reach the ETA and have not closed it, but I filed it either, and I've got a master flight plan on file, the FAA in the flight service station can go in there and actually query my device to see where I'm at. And compared to traditional search and rescue, I mean, that process was drawn out, comm check, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now we shortcut right to the point and see where this aircraft is.
Yes, absolutely. And by the way, we're very hopeful that sometime down the road, pilots in Alaska will be able to open and close their flight plans utilizing the two-way text messaging on their inReach device.
Talk real quickly, because we're going to run out of time.
Sure.
One of the features I was not aware of is this Oceans, OCENS.com. Explain that real quick.
Yeah, so Oceans, OCENS.com or .net is a company based in Seattle, Washington that specializes in providing weather and atmospheric related information to remote users, either at sea or in the air. And so recognizing the capabilities of the inReach device, we've partnered with that company whereby pilots throughout the state could go to most any pilot shop here in the state of Alaska and purchase a low-cost subscription, under $100 a year.
And you can't do that online?
You'll buy the license through the pilot shop here in Alaska, and then activate that service online.
And real quick, because we're running out of time.
Sure.
We're out of time. What does it provide?
It provides precipitation, dew point,
for a destination where you're going?
For either the destination that you are at or the ICAO, that is the destination airport.
So can they go on this website and find out more about it?
Absolutely, yes.
Donnie, I've got to cut you off. We've run out of time. Thanks for being on the program
you.
both times. It's great. Appreciate your product, and hopefully more of our aviators out there will adopt this breadcrumb technology. Ladies and gentlemen, we're out of time. But I want to emphasize, tomorrow, November 15th, 8 o'clock registration, LUSAC Library here in Anchorage. We're going to have the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation Fall Safety Seminar. It's really going to be a good program. Hope to see you there. In the meantime, fly safe.
Back, looking at the sea ice here, continuing to advance west and southwest on those good eastern and northeasterly polar winds up here, and expected to go another 25 to 45 nautical miles here, the Bering Strait up into the Chukchi Sea, off to the west and southwest by Wednesday afternoon, and down here for the Bering Sea, 15 to 25 nautical miles out to the west and southwest during that same time period. For the forecast tomorrow, 15 to 25 knot winds from the east-southeast here along the coastline. About the same over the inside waters, but a little more easterly to north or northeast, kind of varied there depending on where you are. But 15 to 25, and then possible storm force winds along the south coast on Sunday, and pretty good gales for the remainder of the area there. And look for gale force winds here over the southern inside waters, small craft advisories all the way up to the north. For the Cook Inlet forecast, 15 knots, increasing to 25 knots here, especially down across Kamishak Bay. 30 knot winds, Shelikof Strait tomorrow, otherwise small craft advisories here for Kodiak. 20 knots for the Barents, and 25 knots up along the North Gulf Coast. And then again, big increase in the winds here, 55 knots out of the east here for this eastern zone, and northeast 50 knots for Shelikof Strait and the Barren Islands, 40 knot northeasterlies for Kamishak Bay with some higher gusts, and diminishing back to 20 north of the Forelands. 25 knot winds for Prince William Sound, and full gales here along the North Gulf Coast. For Bristol Bay, small craft advisories tomorrow, and then lighter northeasterlies on down the coastline, but 20 to 25 knot northeast winds as you, from Cape Saratchev all the way up to Sitkinak. And then as that low center pulls westward and northwest, 55 knot winds possible for Bristol Bay, northeast 40 on down the coastline, northwest 25 on the Pacific side of the peninsula. And then as that, once the low center pulls back to the west, could see southeasterly 50 knot winds, Sitkinak over to about Chignik. And for the Aleutians on the east side or the eastern zones, Fox Islands east to northeast 25 knots and 25 to 30 through this area, turning northerly and then dropping back to 15 or 20 knots, shimmy late tomorrow afternoon. And then on Sunday, 20 to 25 knot northeasterlies here on the west side and mostly northeast or north-northeast, 20 to 25 knots. Definitely small craft advisories here with 30 knot winds developing across on Alaska and that area during the day. For the Bering Sea, in the north, small craft advisories here, heavy freezing spray into St. Lawrence Island, northeast 20 to 30 knots here with the 20 knot winds mostly from Nunivak Island on down. Pribilof's northeast at about 25, and then that'll increase to 35 knots from the north on Sunday with 35 knot northeasterlies St. Lawrence Island. Colder air coming in to this western zone of St. Matthew Island, so bring some freezing spray in that area. This is the heavy freezing spray up in that zone. Northeast 30 knots, almost gales, but not quite here for the southwest coast. For the Arctic coast, northeast 10 to 20 knots, central and east side, windiest on the west side. And then Sunday, 40 knot winds here for the this zone and 20 knots for the Chukchi Sea, 15 to 25 on the east side. Tonight, watching a storm come eastward and mostly to the south, but it's Sunday, Saturday night and Sunday, a big storm rolls back up to the north and then pulls westward to about this position. So a lot of wind and heavy rain, or heavy wind and rain coming into Kodiak Island, Bristol Bay, and the Alaska Peninsula. That's a look at the weather. Have a great weekend.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
It's never too early to set expectations and goals for your child's education. The UA College Savings Plan provides opportunities that can help you reach your educational savings goals. Save in Alaska. Study anywhere. There is more information available by calling 1-888, the number 4, and then Alaska. This message sponsored by the UA College Savings Plan.